My bad, y'all. It was that Instagram 1 hour shit. Kicked me out. Coming back in though. Finishing up the interview with the homie written by Will. Thank y'all for joining back. Gracias for joining back. Instagram kicked me out. 1 hour thing. As you can see, I am trying to build up so I can eventually go into a live through Instagram, but I'm still trying to fix up. I'm still trying to find out how to do the whole live on Instagram. I mean, live on YouTube. So little by little, I'll get it to be live on YouTube. That way, I can stop with this whole Instagram 1 hour bullshit. But it is what it is. Thank y'all for coming back in. I know the talk is really good. Conversation is really good. It's a very informative. And thank you for joining us back, man. It's the whole Instagram thing, man. You know how that goes.
Sure.
Yeah, man. So now, as we were saying, man, it's really dope how you gave these little hints of other seeds of acronyms WAR. And it's like the war that we all go through
Yeah.
within our daily lives. You know what I mean? We all have like things that we don't talk about certain people, even within our closest family. We don't talk about these issues, but we go through them, and we hope that one day we can overcome them. Some people aren't so lucky to overcome them just by themselves. They need that extra help, the extra push to what I mean, to get over our demons inside or whatnot. But so now as we speak right now, how are you with dealing with these feelings of anxiety and depression? How are you doing now, man?
Appreciate that, bro. Man, I'm doing much better. Like I told you, for me, taking the chance on myself and trusting in myself as a writer and as a creative person to put my work out there was really scary, right? And it was something that I had feared for a while. But once I did it, that felt super empowering. So I got like a good natural high just from uh, uh, learning and realizing that my whole world wasn't going to collapse if I opened
Mm-hmm.
about these things or did this stuff. So that in and of itself was really empowering. And once I took that step, I started, like I told you, through Instagram, finding other writers that covered the same type of topics I did. So reading other poets' interpretations of their mental health struggles was creatively satisfying for me. That felt, gave me a sense of community. And so, seeing others, like even, to be honest with you, bro, even seeing like other dope poetry and taking the time to leave them a comment, taking the time to tell them my favorite line on it or whatever, me knowing what it feels like for me as a writer when someone does that, I try to do it back, right? So if I leave them a comment, whatever, that sense of like uh, uh, two people who struggle with something helping each other, me showing them empathy and compassion is satisfying and fulfilling for me, and it also helps them. And so just going through that is therapeutic and empowering, and becoming more comfortable with talking about these issues also let me see that it's not such a bad thing. And so, like I told you, that made me be more open to other ways we can help ourselves when we struggle with stuff like this. So, I started doing therapy, and I did things that allow me to understand that, a lot of us suffer depression and anxiety and other mental health issues based on how we grew up or the environment
Mm-hmm.
we're in, or, parenting style, all these different things that we don't get to choose, that nobody asks us for our input. And those things affect us and influence us for our whole lives. And so it's important that when we become older, that other young people know, like, it's okay to reinvent yourself, or it's okay to like not know what direction your life has, or to feel like you don't know what you're doing. And if you do feel that way, it's okay to talk about it with somebody, right? And
Mm-hmm.
however your comfort level is, you might have to work through it, but talk to someone about it, and then it can like, grow. And so being open-minded enough about that and being honest with myself that there's nothing wrong with me for feeling these ways has allowed me to seek things that, like I said, like therapy is really good. Sometimes it just lets you see it from a logical level sometimes too, of like, damn, I might think that I'm cursed, or I might think that I'm stuck in a certain way. And a therapist can teach you like, no, like the reaction you have is very predictable. Most people would have that type of reaction in that situation. Let's, understand why we react that way and try to find other ways to react. And something as simple as that can sometimes really be super helpful. You know what I mean? Like, and so
Yeah.
all of that has really empowered me to just feel like there's nothing wrong with it, and understanding that makes it a lot easier. You know what I'm saying? Because like you said, if you said you suffer from anxiety before as well, like anxiety will lie to us, bro. Like anxiety will tell us that the world is
You ain't lying, bro. You ain't lying.
yeah, like
Yeah.
over, it's all a wrap, it's done, and it'll make us freak out. And I've learned like slow down, relax, try to see
Mm.
on, and you know, it's 9 times out of 10, you know, God willing, things are not as bad as we envisioned they would be. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thankfully doing much better, and it's through, like I said, through talking about it, through trying to help other people realize that there's nothing wrong with you for feeling that way. I feel that way. We all feel that way. It's really been like a burden lifted off of me, you know? So that's been real helpful.
No doubt, man. And you said something earlier, man, to reinvent yourself, man. That's so important. And you know what? You can actually reinvent yourself when you start writing about what's going on within you.
Mm.
Like you can actually like go outside yourself and think about, imagine someone, how someone views you as a third person. You can actually write as a third person how you are, how you think people perceive you in that type of third person aspect. And actually, I mean, this the possibilities are endless, man. How you can like reinvent yourself with a pen or a pencil, you know what I mean? Just writing about ever X, Y, and Z things, man. And
Yep.
that's the beauty of poetry, man. That you can expand and talk about things that you never actually even experienced, but just to ponder and just imagine how it would be to experience it. Just that imagination, letting that imagination go. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's what writing's about, bro. Because I mean, we see it in hip hop. All these rappers talking about, I got this and that, and I got so many cars and whatever. You know what I mean? The reality is they're renting that shit. You know what I mean? It's been proven. A lot of these rappers
Right.
rent their things that they post up on YouTube or whatever. So it's like it's all basically it's just an image. It's just an image that and it's just talking about something in a way that it doesn't exist, but it's like creative. You know what I mean? So the same way is poetry, creating something that doesn't actually exist in your life, but putting it in the way that you're putting yourself in the situation that you've never been before.
I,
And you're imagining it like it's actually happening. So it's just it's a beautiful thing, man. Poetry is, you know what I mean?
yeah, and I think it's important to say, bro, like especially us, like we live in America. It's a real consumer-driven society. It's a capitalist society. So everybody is trying to sell us an image. Everybody is always like, ever since we're little, like come buy your burgers here, come shop here,
Mm-hmm.
your car here. You need the tall car, you need the red car, you need the speedy car. Like everything is about image, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
we don't have no choice in that, right? Like we're part of this society. And so what I mean is, so many things make us feel like we have to fit an image or we have to be a certain way. And what I love about self-publishing, what I love about social media being so readily available for the most part to all people, is that it gives us the outlet to be able to do things our way, right? And so instead of me feeling,
Yeah.
damn, in order to be a poet, I got to fit this lane, I want other writers, and I'm sure like I want other writers watching it to be like, we don't have to fit no lane, right? Like we don't have to fit the other image. Like we can, our image could be the winning image. Our experience could be the winning experience. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a richness and a depth to what most of us have gone through. Most people love dramatic movies or suspenseful movies. Most poor people of color have had dramatic suspenseful lives. You feel me? Like
Mhm.
like we have what people want to see, and we have experiences that are relatable. And so I just think it's important, yeah, like we got to trust in ourselves, trust our instincts, and right, you feel me, put out, like I told you, like, and especially with social media, if you love poetry about depression, search the hashtag depression poetry or whatever. You're going to find some dope poets that write just about depression. You know what I'm saying? And that might be the thing that lets you see that if you take the time to write a book about depression, there'll be an audience for it, or there'll be a community for it. And so it's all about, like, with the internet, any other writers, like, just put in the work, search the stuff, research it. I start with looking up the style you like, but it's going to introduce you to other styles. And the next thing you know, you end up being like this sick writer with like four or five different bags you can go into. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And it's there for the taking. You feel me?
Yeah, man. Oh man, this is dope, man. Now as for, did you publish on Amazon by any chance?
Yeah, bro. So I made both books. I got to bring up Nipsey Hussle again, man, because what I love, one thing about him is that he was real big on ownership, right? And so he talked
Mhm.
about how he created a thing of value, right? Like his story is valuable, but also his ability to tell his story from his point of view was an asset, right?
Mhm.
Like labels want that, people want that, but he always preached that he's going to be the owner, right? So like if someone's going to get rich off his music, it's going to be him. And so when I said I'm going to make a book, I thought to myself like, damn, these are people who I respect and look up to. I'd be a fool to not listen to the lessons they're trying to teach me, right? And so when I made my book, I was like, I'm not going to collab with nobody. I'm not going to ask anybody to pitch in on it. I'm going to learn everything myself, right? So I was on YouTube learning how to format. There's websites like, there's, I use the website called bookbaby.com. So it's basically
Okay.
a place that prints books, and then they'll charge you to print the books. And they'll try to sell you like a package. They'll be like, hey, you could buy the package, self-publishing package, and we'll make a cover for you. We'll edit it. They'll do everything for you, right? But obviously, there's some sort of partnership, or there's some type of other element involved. And so for me, I was like, nah, I don't want to. Like, this is my story. This is my struggle.
Mhm.
I want it to be all about, not in a selfish way, but I meant like I want it to be, my way or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
That way, bro. I was just able to maintain the creative control of it or whatever, and I just feel like that was important, an important foundation to set, and doing it that way has just given me that freedom.
Mm, that's dope, man. So, as for Amazon publishing, what is the,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
how did they do it?
So what happens is with Amazon, once I published the book, Amazon was the same way. Like Amazon was like, uh, um, join some package deal or whatever the case is. But when I researched self-publishing, I learned that a really important aspect is something called the ISBN, right? So it's like
Uh-huh.
the barcode.
Barcode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
connected to the barcode, and it's like it's like I don't remember the number amount, but it might be like 9 or 10 numbers that are unique, and that's basically like the barcode of a book, right? It's like your ownership.
Yeah.
And so all these places like BookBaby or Amazon, they'll offer you like a package deal where if you buy with them, you'll get an ISBN through them or whatever. But you can go the route of buying your own ISBN. So because I was
Okay.
trying to be the owner, I went and bought my own ISBN. The thing about ISBNs is you could buy one for 100 and one for like $150, or you could buy 10 for 300. And ISBN
Okay.
is unique. Like, so each time you make a book, you need a different ISBN. And if you make an ebook
Um,
version, then you need another ISBN for the ebook. So anyway, when I made the first book, I bought my own ISBN. By having my own ISBN, Amazon wants to sell stuff no matter what, right? So they prefer to
yeah.
have you be part of their author deal. But if you have your own ISBN, you can just list your book through their author program and be the sole owner of it. All you got to do is just go
Oh,
through the process
okay.
of signing up to their author program. They don't get like, what was I going to say? They get like, they get a certain percentage. You know what I'm saying? Like they take like, let's say like $6 out of it or whatever. So you can't
Mm.
work your way past that, but that's how I was able to get listed on there. I had my own ISBN, so when I was uploading the information to Amazon's marketplace, I just put my own ISBN in there. And then the specifics, there's like, I watched YouTube tutorials, so I don't recall the exact specifics, but independent authors can definitely get their book on Amazon. And they'll try to, they're going to have like a whole program. Like they'll tell you like, they're going to encourage you to have your book for, let's say like $10 or whatever, because most books sell for $10, but you can pick your own price range. My book's $20, so I was like, I'm just gonna have to put it for $20, and then it tacks on like a shipping cost or whatever. And like I told,
Okay.
take like a fee of it. They're very honest and upfront. It's like I don't know, like $6 or something they take. I don't know what the percentage is, but anyway, that's how I was able to do it. So I would recommend to people if they're interested. I thought ownership was important, like, so I just bought my own.
Yeah, it is.
And if you Google ISBNs, it's through a website called Bowker, Bowker. They're like the only place in America that can sell you official ISBNs. And so if you have your own ISBN, you can upload to Amazon and sell on there. And they'll just take a small percentage, but everything else is yours.
Now, how would that work? I wonder how that would work. How much of a right do they have of the book? And for example, say that you have a book, a novel, and eventually it turns into a movie. How much right does Amazon have on the actual story? Is it just for the selling of that particular item, which is that book,
Yeah, so
or is it an actual right of the story?
yeah, no, so the way I did it, they're just being like a merchant. Like they're just
Oh, okay.
so they just get their $6 or whatever, but because they are gonna ship it, like they when I signed up, they gave me the option that I could either send them, let's say, like 30 books to their shipping place, and then whenever someone orders it, they'll ship it, or you can just be the independent seller that sells it through them. So I chose to use Amazon because most people buy on Amazon, and I felt like my experience as a self-publisher was that when you tell people you wrote a book, the first thing they ask you is it on Amazon? You feel me? So I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, I got to make sure the book's on Amazon. But yeah, so in my case, and like I said, I recommend buy your own ISBN. If you think you're going to make more than one book, trust me, buy the bundle, because I bought for my first book, I just bought the $125 one or whatever. And then a year later, I made a second book. I was like, damn, I'm about to drop another $150. I wish
Damn.
you feel me? So
Yeah.
you could buy 10 of them for 300, and once you have that, it's like I said, like it's the thing that says that you're the owner of the work of the creative piece or whatever. So I would recommend anybody interested in, like you said, if my book were to blow up and be a movie, I thankfully wouldn't have to split it with nobody, because
Yeah.
in the beginning process I made sure. And like I said, self-publishing, it is, every self-publisher that I've seen, or like a third party, they offer you the ready to go package. They're like, hey,
Yeah.
away, like pay us like $1,500 and just give us your manuscript and we'll edit it, we'll do it all.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure, like I told you, they have some sort of distribution rights, because BookBaby tried to do, like they offered me like a plan, like the author plan,
Okay.
put you in Barnes and Noble, and but all of it had to do with cuts, like percentages. And I
Mhm.
had enough faith in myself where I was like, I know my hustle, I know my what I'm trying to convey with the book, and I believe in it. So I was like, I'm not trying to do it that way, you know what I mean? But
Mhm.
so I would recommend ownership is through ISBNs. If you're an author, try to buy your own ISBNs, and then Amazon is, like I said, they're just the third party merchant. They're just selling it for me, and they get a cut because they're Amazon, and I get the prestige of being on the
Yeah.
platform or whatever.
That's dope, man. See, as for editing, did you get your stuff edited? Or as for poetry, like, is editing even like that much of a big deal? Because in poetry, there's like room enough for the art, for the poet
Hmm.
to make it in a certain way that it doesn't really need to be, set like a novel. It doesn't need to be in a format that needs correction in that way, because it's like it's more radicalized, where it can look a certain other. You can format the wording to go in a certain way, and it's that's poetry. You know what I mean? It's just different. You know what I mean? It's more creative, more, I don't know, just different. You know what I mean? So when it comes to editing, how do you see editing in terms of poetry?
Yeah, so it's a good point, bro. It's important. For me, at first, like what I did have both books edited, just because when I watched tutorials and stuff about self-publishing, a lot of people said, like, don't rush and make sure that what you're creating is something that has quality to it, right? And so I didn't want to rush and make something and then tell people that I respected, hey, I made a book, buy my book. And then maybe they're reading it at home and there's a bunch of spelling errors, or I messed up in one part. And so through Fiverr, I mentioned earlier, right, which is just like a third party like job site where people hire other people. I had looked, like they had a whole section of editors, and all that I recommended, what helped me was just be clear about what I wanted, right? So like you mentioned with poetry, there's a lot of creative license, right? Like I may say hustling instead of hustling, and I
Mm-hmm.
clear with the editors that I hired. There's like a theme, like just like Uber or whatever, like they would have ratings and stuff, or Yelp.
Yeah.
I would look, I communicated with them like, hey, look, my book's a poetry book, and I want you to edit for grammar, or I want you to edit for style, for like spelling, right? So that way they knew not to come at me with a bunch of, like you said, hustling, and I'm gonna be like, bruh, book means to me. So as long as you're clear, yeah, like for me that was what helped with my editing process, was so I paid someone through Fiverr, but you're able to, like I said, to have competitive pricing. And what's cool about the internet, bro, is there's people from all over the world, right? So sometimes you might get someone that's from another part of the country that's willing to do it for a little bit cheaper than the person from LA or whatever, you know, and you could find good work. So I like I said, with poetry, I would just recommend people be upfront to just make sure that they know that when whoever they hire to edit, if they do, which I think is important, like I said, because you're basically creating something for the world to see. And, you know, if you're the type of person that makes sure that your clothes looks nice when you leave or your shoes are tied, why would you put out a book or anything else that's, you know, poorly done or rushed? So yeah, I would recommend editing, and we live in a time now where it's not, you know, too much of a financial burden. You could find people that are willing to work with you, but be upfront with them, because you don't want them to bring a red pen through your whole document, right? Like, tell them what you're working on and what it's about. And most editors are used to that, and it's you know, and it was valuable because real quick, I have journalism experience, and when I was in journalism, I was known for being a good copy editor, right? So like, we would read stories before I went to the paper. We had to make sure we didn't mess up, and so one of the last people to read it would be me. I'd have my red pen out, and I would catch stuff all the time. So when I made my book, I was like, why do I need an editor? I'm an editor. But I didn't want to be arrogant, so I hired someone. It was one of my old college classmates, and I paid her, and she did it for me. And sure enough, she found certain things that I was like, okay.
Oh, dang.
Remember when I went to my college professor and I told him I wrote a book, I was confident that he wasn't going to be like, wow, Will, like, there's all these errors in your book, you know? So yeah, I think editing is an important aspect, if you know, just making it be as professional as you can, because that does matter, you know, especially to people, as how professional something looks can sometimes be the difference between whether they pick up my book at all or not.
Yeah, man. Now the second book, man, how much more of the same feeling that the first book had did you put into the second one? I know you mentioned there was more of a transition between the fight that you were in a way kind of like starting up, that you the plane wasn't level, you know what I mean? It wasn't balanced. Like, it was an unfair fight at that point.
Right.
Now the second book is more of a, you know, even playing. Like, you're able to take in this stuff, and you're able to, like, you know, be more, you know, the challenge is even now. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You know what's going on. You know how to address it, and you're addressing it. You know what I mean? So what? How different of poems that you put on the second one than the first one?
Yeah, so it was pretty different. So with the first book, it was a lot shorter, right? I only had like 25, 30 poems. And so my first time making a book, and like I told you, I kind of had it be about a thing where I wanted to introduce the world to me in the sense of, hey man, I'm like this, I feel lost my whole life, and these are the reasons why. And so I had like poetry about like my grandma dying, certain things that had happened in my life that were traumatic. And when I ended the first book, it ended on this idea of me feeling like I felt like I had finally beat my depression, right? So I was like about to hit my 20s, and I was like foolish youth, like, I'm straight now, I'm good, it's all gonna be gravy from here. And that's how the first book kind of ends. And so the second book came about, like I told you, because unfortunately I had traumatic events occur again in my life, and it made me feel like I got to do it. So when I made the second book, I was like, okay, I got to build off book one. And so the second book was like, it starts with me feeling like, it's called A War Within, right? So it starts with me, the first chapter is called The Pacifist. And it's about me saying to the world that I don't like war. You feel me? Like, I don't want war. Like, my whole life has felt like war. I feel like I finally figured everything out. I'm trying to be peaceful. And what I've learned is that, you know, life doesn't cooperate with our plans. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really care what we have envisioned. Life's just going to be what life is. And so because my life was actually being uprooted in real life, I wanted the book to reflect that, right? And so, but I wanted it to reflect growth, because I felt like I have to grow through this pain. And so with the second book, the poetry is a little bit at the beginning. I try to make it be like optimistic poetry, because that's how I was feeling coming off of book one. Like, I was feeling like I'm ready for the world. I already beat depression. And then the second chapter is called Skirmishes, which are like small, unorganized battles in a war. And that whole section, that whole chapter is nothing but short poems. Because when I looked through my 200 poems, I realized, like, yo, I don't want to be so heavy that someone who picks up my book is only going to read about like the worst, heaviest, longest things. So I had a whole section where it's just like small, short poems, like 10 lines or, and it's called Skirmishes because it's me going from being a pacifist and thinking that I was done with depression, and depression coming back and saying like, nah, bro, there's a war about to start. And so there's these little skirmishes. And so the whole second chapter is nothing but short poems. And I made it with Instagram in mind, because I realized with Instagram that if I post a really long poem, people will like it and read it, but you know, we all have short attention spans in 2020, bro. Like, you know, we want
Yeah,
things 5 seconds or less, and people like to see like quotables, or they want to see, you know,
yeah.
the sun shines bright.
A quick fix. A quick fix.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's not challenging for me as a writer to put like the sun shines brighter tomorrow. Like I feel like, you know,
Hmm.
so I when I made the second book, I made the whole middle section nothing but short poems, and some of them I had already written, and then other ones I wrote just for it, right? So I was challenging myself, like make new fresh poems, and I knew that those were going to be the poems that I was going to use for Instagram, like to try to hook people,
Hmm.
you know, like if I have two lines I think are sick, I don't expect everyone to want to read the other 20 lines, you know? So I would just, so the whole second chapter was nothing but short poetry. And to keep a theme still, then the third chapter is called straight up war, right? So it's like in chapter one as pacifism, I'm trying to like be peaceful. Chapter two is cracking now. There's war. I mean, there's battles starting. And then chapter three is called war because that's when it hits the fan. Like, so that chapter
Hmm.
is like my rawest poetry. It's like super. Book one has honest poetry about depression, but I was still worried about how it'd be perceived. By the time book two comes about, one, I have more confidence as a writer. Two, my personal life is in tatters. Like my dad passed away. I told you before, like I work with rappers and stuff, and Nipsey Hussle was a big influence to me. He got murdered. Like I was shook. I was like, what's going on with the world? Like, you know, so I wanted to be on it. And so I made the book reflect that. So the third chapter is called War. It's like raw poetry, bro. It's like I wasn't afraid no more. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just say how I feel. And so there's some days where I feel like the worst shit ever, like just terrible. And so I said, let me write that. And before I would have been worried, like, what are they gonna say if they read it? For this book, I was like, nah, I want people to know, like, truly, like, you know, what it feels like to feel this way, right? And so sometimes we might see people that are grumpy or depressed, and we might be like, why they always got a long face? Why they always sad? Like, we don't know what they're going through. And so I wanted people who read the book to know, like I know what's up. Like I know how this feels, and I really wanted to convey that. And so it's a lot rawer, and it's me finding my voice and being willing to be like, you know what, I'm just gonna put it out there. And I feel like that's my absolute best work. Like it's and sharing that stuff, which is so vulnerable, has empowered me the most. You know what I mean? And it's been the type of work that has gotten the biggest feedback as well. So I don't know. It's just been really empowering and a good experience.
Man, that's cool, man. That you have like an actual history, historical like things of your life. You know that when you went through a certain passage, you have it like right there, and it's like a moment in our lives that we're putting in these works. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That you put into your work. You know what I mean? It's a moment in your time, something that you overcame, something you know what I mean, something that was physically beating you down. You overcame, you documented it, and now it's just there. That was just there for the viewing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
As that's a I don't know. I don't even know what to call that, bro. That's like more than art. That's like more than art. That's like something. It's like freezing time. Like you know what I mean?
I appreciate.
It's just that moment in time that you freeze and you just like look at it from time to time. Like, yo, that was me.
It.
That was me at that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was me struggling. That was me going through something. That was me battling something. That was me going through something that many around the world go through. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just lucky enough to have a gift that God gave me to put into paper and put in you know and just describe in a certain way that others can understand and that can get over just like I got over. You know what I mean? That's fucking dope, dude.
Yeah, bro. And
For real.
I think
You know what I
it's
mean?
important to say, man, that anybody watching and like shoot your shot, you know, like do it. Like I said, because that's the only way we're gonna learn through practice. You know what I'm saying? That's how it works for every other profession, bro. Like if you're a good basketball player when you're a youngster, the only way you're gonna get better is playing in front of other people and playing against different people, right? And so we got to put our work out there. We got to put our writing out there. For the second book, bro, when after I made the first book, I felt I was gassed. I was like, okay, I could do this. And there was like
Mm-hmm.
pages that would do like contests or like write a poem about this and see if you win. And I was like, okay. And before I would have been hesitant. I would have been afraid I wouldn't win, right? So let's say I did the poem and it doesn't win, right? I'm like, damn, it didn't win. But because I was willing to challenge myself, because I was willing to put myself out there, I was like, damn, I like this poem. I don't want to throw it away. And so I ended up fitting it in the second book too. You feel me? And so I bring it up so people watching know, like I said, that a lot of opportunities won't open unless we, you know, you can't steal second base if your foot's on first, right? Like we gotta take the chance, we gotta put the stuff out, and there's no other way around it, bro. Like I said, like just if we put the stuff out and we work consistently at it and we believe in it, we definitely can. And that's why I say, I hope people use resources, man. Read a lot. I read books all the time. I still read books. Books not, and it doesn't even have to be books about writing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be books about leadership or books about, a bunch of different things. And you never know what gem they might have in it that will click something for you creatively and help you in the other things that you're working on. So yeah, man, reading is something that writers got to make sure they do a lot of, because it just keeps our brain moving and our thoughts flowing. And for writers, bro, I feel like that's a huge thing, right? Like if we can keep our ideas going, like some ideas,
Yeah.
that's cool. If we put out 20 ideas and 3 winners are in there, then it was worth it. You feel me? So
Mm-hmm. No doubt, Geraldo Cruz. Fear is a writer's worst enemy. Oh man, that's shit. That's anyone's worst enemy, man. Fear is like, I mean, it's a big one. Fear is a big one, man. There's fear for a lot of things. Some people have fear to drive. Some people have fears to, just as simple as publishing a book. You know what I mean? Some people have a fear for that because they don't know if they're gonna fail. But how are you gonna become a winner if you never fail? You have to first fail into something to be able to get better at something. You know what I mean?
exactly.
And I believe failing in something is like one of the key steps that one must overcome. Because if you can't handle failing in something, then how are you going to handle, someone telling you that something might not be a good, a good, poem, a good, story or whatever.
Yep.
You're gonna come across those people. Come across you're trying to submit something to get published in a certain publishing company, and they flat out tell you your stuff is no good. Like, how are you going to take that if you can't take failure? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
First you have to go through failure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, people don't realize like all the best winners, biggest winners, they all fail times. You feel me? Like, but the thing that separated them is that they kept working on their game or at their
Mm-hmm.
and they kept finding ways to
Exactly.
adapt. So yeah, I know it's easier said than done, right? Because we've all experienced it, but there is a big value to just trying stuff, and really with the internet at our disposal, like we should definitely keep trying because look at how much we've been able to build off stuff tonight. It's like the
Mm-hmm.
sharing ideas and perspectives is really a crucial element, especially with educating ourselves and hopefully letting other writers know, like, yeah, man, make it, like, make the script, make the book, do the short story, do whatever it is you're thinking about. Like, you ain't got nothing to lose, bro. It's 2020. The world is upside down anyway. You feel me? Like, we might as well, like, make
Oh yeah.
our art,
And as a writer, there is no right or wrong way. Like there is like even professional writers that have been writing for over 20 years will tell you, they come to a point that every book is like a new. They start from scratch, So every book they start from scratch. Even professionals, you know what I mean. So if they're going through that, then someone that's just starting, of course, we're all every single story. You know what I mean. You have to put their own personal attention to that story. It's unique, you know what I mean? Every person's life is unique. So what does that tell you? Every story is unique. So it's hard. Nothing good ever comes out of something so easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Now, lastly, man, before we head out, man, church life. Talk to us about that, man.
For sure, bro. Yeah. So the thing behind that is coming up, I'm a real big Snoop Dogg fan, bro. Like I'm an 80s baby, so I grew up with 2 older brothers who loved the Chronic and Doggy Style. And when I was a youngster in high school and stuff, I was a big Snoop Dogg fan. And so Snoop had the whole Welcome to the Church mixtapes. I don't know if you remember those.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. If you're scared, go to church.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, when I was in high school, like I was big on that. I'd always be saying it. And so my homies and stuff would call me church. And so when I had to make a website, I was like, damn, what am I going to do? And I didn't really have a direction at the time. Like the website we had made for music, we closed it down and we moved on from it. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And so I was like, well, for now, since I don't have I'm just going to make it about me. So I called it The Church Life. And then I'm a big foodie, bro. Like 24/7, I'm eating some tacos or burritos, pizza or burgers. And so I had just made an Instagram where I'm just on the daily, like, you know, pigging out, eating all the best
Mm.
food. And so once I did that, that's kind of what I was just doing. You know, like I do, I write about music promotions and stuff. So I do like press releases and bios. Um, you know, so that's like my regular thing, right? So I was just doing that, but my fun was the church life, my foodie adventures. And so that's like just, you know, that's just my home base. So once I created my books and stuff, I was like, that's what my company will be, right? So I mean, like, I just called it the Church Life Publishing, and that's my website, thechurchlife.com. And so that's like my home base, and it's, you know, what I go by. But yeah, so that's kind of what that's about. Yeah, so it's just, if you know, if you love to eat junk food, or you love like double cheeseburgers and like all that type of stuff, then I have another Instagram called at the Church Life, and like I said, it's just you know, 24/7 food stuff. But yeah, so that was the inspiration behind that, and it's just a way that I found it to keep things personal with me, right, and feel like it's part. Again, I go back to Nipsey, where I say it was all about a brand, right, and so like the church life is me and my home base, and then everything other than that is like branches of it.
Mm. I can't be messing with that, man. I know you got to be careful with that heartburn, man. I'm scared of that heartburn, man.
As I get a little bit older, I definitely have slowed down, but yeah, nah,
Yeah,
for sure.
for sure. Anything that's dope, that's just church. All right, I'll remember that. All right, man. Hey, man, thank you for giving me this time, bro. It was a dope fucking talk, man. You know, something that more people should do more often, because there's a lot of ideas that one can just come up with. You know what I mean? Just talking to other, you know, like-minded people, and you know what I mean? It's needed, bro. It's needed because, you know, especially nowadays that it's so easy to have this conversation, and you know, through social media. It's super needed, bro. You know, and why not? You know what I mean? It ain't like it's costing us anything.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So
I appreciate you
let's just
out. Yep. I appreciate you reaching out, man, and you know, I'm fully with it, and I think it's important, like we said, that we let other people know, like, let's go for it. You feel me? Like, we got the talent, we got the stories, we got the skills. I know we got the hustle and the, you know, what is it, like, strength. You feel me? So let's just do it.
Mhm.
Like I said, man, I appreciate you reaching out to me and letting me, you know, have this time with you as well, bro.
Yeah, for sure. And I want you on the other podcast as well, man, where we're gonna go into music and you know, all that juicy stuff, man. Because and also include mental health within that as well, and you know, all the type of stuff that goes along with just that persona that is portrayed within hip hop. You know what I mean? It's just a tough persona that the male has to like, you know, deal with you know, personally. You know what I mean? One has to deal with that persona, thinking that, you know what I mean, hoes and bitches and money and cars and everything, nothing's better than that. You know what I mean? That's how the new hip hop. Well, I mean, the underground hip hop is where the real knowledge is at. You know what I mean? But people don't take that into consideration. They just think that hip hop is hip hop. Hip hop is about bees and hoes and this and that, which is not. You know what I mean? So we can go into KRS-One, which is the, you know, the one that's be spitting that real knowledge, and talk about that, man. I mean, that's some things that we got to discuss with that, man.
Definitely, bro. Nah, definitely. I appreciate that, man. And good looking out to everybody who tuned in as well, man. It was a great talk, bro.
All right, thank you, man.
All right.
Murder Ghost, thank you for tuning in, everyone. Thank you, man. Have a good night.
All right. Likewise.
All right, y'all. So I'm gonna be just finishing my beer, and I'm gonna be putting some records on. If you guys want to tune into my Hip Hop Spot podcast right now, I'm gonna be doing that so I can finish my beer. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna head in because it's fucking cold as fuck out here. I didn't bring my heater out here, but you know what I mean. So thank y'all for tuning in. Next Thursday, I'll be having another guest person. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's gonna be a poet or it's gonna be a you know, novel writer, but it's gonna be dope. You know, regardless. You know what I mean? So you know how I do. This is Brown96 checking out for My Gente Can Write podcast. Tune in to the next Thursday. It's gonna be dope. Gracias, everyone.